Hey, it's Cole again. Today, we are honored to introduce May Birateri, the talented recipient of the Simsbury Community Media Scholarship. May's passion for animation and film has driven her to create incredible work, including a stop-motion animation short film that won an award at a state competition during her junior year. May's dedication and creativity have set her on an exciting path as she plans to attend the Savannah College of Art and Design next year to further her studies in animation and film. Please join us in celebrating May Birateri's outstanding achievements and bright future. Welcome to the station, May.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate
Of course. Thank you for being here. So, why did you choose Savannah College as your college of choice?
So I've been looking into Savannah College of Art and Design, or we can call it SCAD. It's another name for it. And SCAD, it's always been my dream school. I went there for a summer seminar about 2 years ago, and I did a stop motion program there, along with a 3D course. And wasn't my favorite, but I fell in love with the stop motion animation department and the people that were there and everything that they did. It was incredible and I loved it so much. I felt straight at home. I was there for a week and I just didn't want to leave by the end of it.
And now you're there for the next 4 years. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, where did your interest in stop motion animation originate from?
Ever since I was young, I really loved any animated film, any animated TV show. And when it came to stop motion animation, it was Isle of Dogs. I think I've seen it about 20 times at this point. It's so good. It's an immediate watch. If I see it's on, I watch it. I really liked any of Wes Anderson and any of his movies, especially Fantastic Mr. Fox. That was a huge inspiration for my stop motion film, as I wanted to do animals, and Fantastic Mr. Fox revolved around the stop motion animals. And so I would watch that constantly to get an idea of how they move, how I should move my characters, and just the general idea of it.
That was such a good movie.
It's a great movie.
When did you first begin creating stop motion animations?
I'm going to be completely honest. About last year was the first time I did a big stop motion animation. Ever since before that, I was really big on just frame by frame drawing 2D animations. And I wasn't particularly really good at it, if I'm 100% honest, but I always really loved to draw and stuff like that. And I really like to draw bunnies for some reason. During junior year, it was a bunny drawing time for some reason. And I turned that into, I have to do this capstone. What do I want to do this capstone on? Well, I love stop motion movies. I love animated movies. Let's try that. And so I got in contact with the people that were at SCAD. And I was like, hey, how'd you do this? Can you tell me how to do this? And I did it all myself.
You reached out to people at SCAD and they helped you?
Yes.
What did they provide you with resources?
It was basically all through text. I asked them hey, so what program did you use? They used Dragonframe, which we'll get into later. It's a big program, but Dragonframe is great. And then they also said what materials that they used. It's a lot of materials, but mostly I was being torn between making the characters made out of foam or needle felting them. I've never done needle felting before. But I ended up doing it, and it ended up turning out really well. So it was a bunch of how to do needle felting, where to get the needle felting stuff, all from Amazon. You can get it all from Amazon for dirt cheap, but yeah.
So you mentioned the capstone. Can you tell us about your capstone project?
So yes, my capstone project was a stop-motion animated film called Liebesdram. It is basically the idea of you can portray one's emotions purely through music. You don't have to talk, and I wanted to show that even love can be portrayed as anything, and you can kind of get the gist of it through dance, through music, through the movements of a character, and I wanted to portray that into my film. So I chose the song Liebesdram by Franz Liszt, and it's an old piece. My grandmother actually inspired me to do that. She was a piano teacher at the Crane School of Music. She loved that piece, so I chose that piece because I thought it was a very romantic song, and the actual Liebestraum means love dream. And I think it's German. It's really, really interesting. But I handcrafted all the characters, the backgrounds. I really wanted to show that people can make these characters, make these films by themselves, just given the time. Yeah.
That's such a nice story for you. I
Yeah.
love hearing that.
Yeah.
I know it. The more you know.
Yeah.
So, can you walk us through the process of creating your film, like
Yes,
the
absolutely.
pre-production, post-production,
Yes.
production?
So pre-production, when you're given the capstone or like a final project, some other schools may call it a final project, capstone. You have it in college. You can sometimes have it in high school. For me, it was just a high school full year. So during the summer, I knew my capstone was coming up. I wanted to do it the junior year because I wanted my senior year to be really relaxed. So I watched a bunch of stop motion movies because I knew I wanted it to be stop motion after constantly remembering my time at SCAD. And so I started by texting the people at SCAD and be like, hey, what materials did you use? I want to make my own project at home. And they're like, you need a table, you need all these materials. And I'm like, you know what? I can do it. Let me do it. I'm going to push myself. So I grabbed an old table that we never used in the basement, painted it, and then I started making the characters. And then I looked into the programs I had to get, which was Dragon Frame and Premiere Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro, which, again, I've never used any of those programs before besides Dragon Frame, which I used at SCAD. So it was all basically new, but I wanted to really push myself to see what I could do. So when I get into college, I know somewhat of what I'm doing. So when I ended up doing the actual character creation, again, I was stuck between doing foam bodies or needle felting bodies, but needle felting, I wanted to be able to push myself and say I did a new media, so that's how I made these characters. Then I did the filming for about a month or two, and then editing took about a week. The editing was so much more simple than you think because for each sequence, for each camera angle, I changed it, had a new sequence, and just basically pulled video and video and video and tied it all together.
I do editing, so that's very nice. It was very easy for you and not a chore.
Yeah.
So, what was your favorite part of producing your capstone film?
Well, if I'm 100% honest, it was creating the actual characters. The hands-on portion of it is, well, first of all, I had to design them, and I'm big on drawing, and it's one of the biggest things I do. So having the actual character design and creation was the biggest part. Deciding what colors they were going to be, what fabric I wanted to use, what felt and everything, and how I wanted their clothes to look. It was all new to me, and I wanted to really experiment with what I could do.
Well, and are you happy with the final outcome of your film?
It honestly, day-to-day basis, it changes, that answer changes, because I know now with looking back, I could have changed so many things. I could have, with my actual production of the film, it was cutting it really close to the final date of the presentation. And I knew if I did it a little bit earlier, I could have added so many more intricate details. And that is one of the biggest things I'd have to tell people is take your time with it. Obviously, don't put any work off the last minute, but when you're doing like a film like that, you really want to look at the minuscule details that'll make it so beautiful when it comes to the whole end.
This is like a personal question. Have you considered going back and redoing it ever?
I actually am considering it. I mean, I still have the set and everything and all the stuff, and I would have to put a couple things together, but definitely I would go back and do it again if I chose to, if I had the time and I had the money to, because it was a big project.
Oh, I can't imagine how much time months you're talking
Months.
about it. So to go beyond that project and let's talk about the future, do you have any specific, ideas in your head or projects you want to accomplish during your college years?
Yes, I want to do more stop motion projects. And not only do I want to do animation, I really want to get into film and television, whether that's directing a film, whether that's kind of like designing for a film, like anything, any of those things would be incredible to me. I want to push myself. I want to do things, and I want to actually have that experience so I have more of a variety to pick from, and then land on that, and then that become my major. I'm stuck between the animation film and television majors right now. I've said out loud that it's going to be a double major, but that could just end up becoming a major and a minor, so I don't overwhelm myself. But as of right now, I want to do a multitude of things.
I wish you luck with all that. That sounds like a lot of work. I'm
Yeah.
finishing up my senior year of my college for new media studies, and it's been something. What tools and I guess speaking of your college, what tools and software are you most excited to work with?
I'm most excited to work with SCAD. They have the technology that's so up to date and what professionals use. As of right now, that's what I know. I would love to surround myself with the media that everyone uses and familiarize myself with it. Whether that's Dragon Frame, which is professional grade equipment for stop motion that I already have started using, but I'd love to go more into depth and see what each category holds and what is each for. I'd love to learn all of it.
So how do you come with so I guess like for inspiration for other people or just like learning more, you're talking about how your grandmother was piano, that song that inspired you. So
Yes.
how do you come with ideas for your other projects in the future? Like,
Yes. So I tend to be very imaginative. If I come up with an idea, I'll write it down on paper, I'll draw it almost instantly. I always have a sketchbook with me. And as cheesy as that sounds, it always helps get my mind flowing and just all ideas on paper. Even if I look back in the sketchbook and I go, what's this? I can at least go back and go, oh yeah, no, I think I remember that. And it just formulates ideas and it spirals. But usually it's coming from work around me, whether I'm looking on like Instagram or something like that, or I'm like watching a YouTube video. I'm like, oh wow, I have an idea for a drawing. I have an idea for an animation. And I will start kind of just writing it, even if I never go back to it. It's always good to have something written down on paper. So say in like 10 years, I look back in an old sketchbook and I go, oh, that's a great idea. And I have all these materials that I learned at college. I can go back and go with that idea if I think it's a good idea. But usually it's just with people around me, what they say, what they do. A lot of my friends, my brother as well, they also are very creative people. They're all artistic. And when I talk to them, it's like, oh, I want to draw that, or that'd be really cool, a cool idea to do. So it's stuff like that.
Those are some really good inspirations for yourself. You mentioned in that answer, in 10 years from now, you'd have all the papers. In 10 years, where would be your dream company to work for?
Ooh, goodness. Well, that's big, but I think it's Leica Studios, or Universal Studios. Universal is my dream. I not only love their films, but also the theme park. It's a huge, I know that's crazy, but there's also a park design at Savannah College of Art and Design.
Really?
And it's a minor, I believe. And I would love to take it because just in general, I want to surround myself with the artistic ideas that come from either Leica Studios or Universal Studios and be part of that because I look up to it so much. Ever since I was a kid and just onwards, it's just amazing. It's incredible. Yeah.
That's awesome. I wish you luck. I hope with your passion, I assume you would get hired, but
Thank you.
Hopefully. So, what advice would you give to other high school students who are interested in stop motion animation or just other peers or to people, I guess?
I would definitely say if you have an idea, write it down, obviously, even if you don't ever go back to it. But if you have an idea, push yourself to try it. Even if it doesn't end up good, you don't have to show anyone. You don't have to tell anyone you did it. But if you have that idea in your head and you have that mentality that you think you can do it or you want to try, just try. It's going to get you somewhere. No matter what, you're going to have an experience to base yourself off of. And don't put stuff off. As crazy as it sounds, and as basic as it sounds, you hear it all the time. When it comes to drawings and animations and for final projects, you want to be able to have a sturdy timeline, even if you don't follow it. It's good to have an idea of, okay, this is when it's due, so let's pretend it's due 2 weeks before. That is the due date that I need to get to. And you can have that extra 2 weeks once you're all said and done to do extra editing, extra videos, and extra everything. And it just helps in the long run.
That advice is really applicable. I think it applies even more than just stop motion animation. It feels like all fields of art and even beyond art, even business to an extent. So that's really good. And I guess, do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Not really. It's just I I can't wait to go into this whole field of art and my college, and I'm very excited to really look into the future and be able to get those opportunities to work possibly in my dream companies.
We wish you luck, and we're excited to see what you accomplish at these colleges. And thank you for coming again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course. Well, thank you for tuning in with this interview. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you wish luck to May as well. Take care, and have a great one.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.